So the Rangers were pretty much expected to add some big names to their team come trade deadline. Last year this was the case, but it didn't pan out as we saw the team make 4 changes to their team, which ended up benefiting them because those guys helped the Rangers make the Eastern Conference Final with 2 thrilling winning series. This year, though, GM Chris Drury has decided to take a different turn. He's making the top 6 as strong as possible while giving future assets away for rentals. Most people were expecting to see Blackhawks superstar Patrick Kane join the Rangers to reunite with his buddy Artemi Panarin, but no. The Rangers instead got Panarin another buddy in fellow Russian Vladimir Tarasenko from the St. Louis Blues. With this move, the Rangers have one of the best top lines in the league. Artemi Panarin on the left with Zibanejad at center and then Tarasenko on the right. Just seeing that, it's really easy for one to assume that the Rangers have a much better first line on paper. However, if the Rangers really want to make their top 6 so incredible, they should still pursue Patrick Kane, and yes, believe it or not, it is still possible, and it's not as risky if Chicago accepts this proposed deal. Let's discuss why this is the case. Despite being arguably the top forward trade target, there's no guarantee that Patrick Kane is out of Chicago come trade deadline. Since he has a no movement clause, he's in complete control of his destiny of where and when he's moved. He's been undecided about his plans for the deadline for much of the season, but his comments on the Tarasenko trade have made his feelings extremely clear. For those who didn't hear, upon Vladimir Tarasenko's acquisition from St. Louis, Patrick Kane said, "It's not the happiest I've ever been to hear about a trade. I think the Rangers are a team that you definitely pay attention to and definitely are intrigued by, for obvious reasons. Obviously, they made a move to get him and another big defenseman, so you gotta respect them going out and trying to make their team better," end quote. He continued on by saying how if he was guaranteed to be traded, the Rangers were a team he was sincerely considering to be his new home, and I'm sure most people can postulate that because of his chemistry with Artemi Panarin. He then ends on quite a very stubborn note in my opinion, saying, quote unquote, "It seems like they kind of filled their void and went ahead and made a deal. So it is what it is," end quote. I don't know whether to feel excited and proud how a guy like Patrick Kane was so eager to come to New York, or disappointed that we didn't get him and he may go to another team. Personally, I'm a huge Patrick Kane fan and would love to have him here, provided that he's consistently playing well like he did last year and he's not dealing with constant injuries. I mean, this is the first time we've heard Kane openly talk about playing for another club. He hasn't said this about any other team, which makes it clear that the Rangers are very well his top choice. But as stated earlier, despite the Rangers getting Tarasenko, they can still get Patrick Kane, though it would take a mass amount of creativity from the genius that Chris Drury is, and provided that the circumstances are all right. Also true if Kane explicitly states that the Rangers are the team he wants to go to, which he has, as just today itself, I think he mentioned that the Leafs and the Rangers are 2 teams he's willing to accept a trade to. And that's good because I made a video about him going to Toronto, but either way, right now we can just infer that this is the case. First things first, the Rangers do not have that much cap space, but they can still financially fit Kane if they make a change or 2 in the roster. They sent Libor Hayek down to the AHL last Friday and would probably need to send down Julien Gauthier to the AHL as well if the Rangers were to make a trade for Kane. This could get the Rangers $2.8 million to play with come trade deadline day. However, even at full retention of Kane's salary, this is not enough for the Rangers to afford him. The only realistic and possible way this could work without having to give up any current roster players is to make a third team join to take 25% of Kane's salary in return for, say, a prospect, which could be something they're willing to do. I mean, a quarter of Kane's salary is $2 million or so for a prospect. Not bad. It would take a lot of creativity, but we have seen 3-team trades work in this fashion before. Let's also throw it out there that the Rangers must not make any other changes to their roster before Kane's traded. It's extremely likely that Chicago would want a first-round pick from the Rangers. Now, whether this be a 2023 first-round pick or not is a different question, so let's just put their 2024 one on instead. The Rangers would almost certainly, there's no chance they can get away with it. They will certainly have to say goodbye to Vitaly Kravtsov, who was the Rangers' former first-round pick in the top 10 back in 2018. They could also trade Matthew Robertson to Chicago, as he's a young prospect who's a defenseman and a former second-round pick. However, the Rangers would almost certainly need to ask a third team to take 25% of Kane's salary to make this happen. This would mean that a team like Arizona or San Jose or maybe Anaheim or any other rebuilding team would be willing to take on salary to allow the Rangers to get Kane. Maybe the Rangers could give that team a third-round pick or some mid-tier prospect for the retention. But when we talk about Vitaly Kravtsov and what he brings to the Blackhawks, it can get a little complicated. Blackhawks fans, listen up about this guy because he's had a very confusing past being such a controversial player. Being a top 10 pick in the draft, he was expected to slide into the team immediately, as would any top 10 pick. But he didn't, alright? He didn't make the cut back in 2018, and he didn't get to play his first game until 2021. This enraged him because there were actual guys out there who were able to get spots immediately from their first year, like Kaapo Kakko and Alexis Lafreniere and even Filip Chytil. Filip Chytil was drafted like 21st overall back in 2017 and managed to make the team as an 18-year-old like Kaapo Kakko did, who was 2nd overall. Kravtsov just never made it, and neither did Lias Andersson, who was the 7th overall pick in 2017. Both of them struggled to get roster spots, and that's when they pissed their coaches off. And then we all saw how Lias Andersson got traded to the LA Kings for just a 2nd-round pick, and he still has not managed to do anything in LA, but now we're dealing with another Lias Andersson in Vitaly Kravtsov. He never got the ice time he wanted, which explained why he got so mad at David Quinn, but whenever he got ice time, he just never seemed to consistently perform. He would have a goal in one game just to go pointless for the next 7-8 games or so, and it just pissed off David Quinn and then Gerard Gallant. Gallant thankfully had no tolerance for his behavior and sent him down to the AHL, but then Kravtsov, funny enough, told GM Chris Drury that if he were sent down once more, he would like to be traded, which honestly shocked a lot of people because Kravtsov has done nearly nothing to prove that he's capable of keeping an NHL spot. Now with Vladimir Tarasenko on the team, Vitaly Kravtsov is on the outside looking in, which is why the Blackhawks should definitely look into trading for him. He would get the ice time he wants, he would get a lot of minutes, therefore more potential. He's a good prospect, but he just wasn't part of the future plans for the Rangers, simple enough. He just needs a change of scenery. On the other hand, we have Matthew Robertson, and he's getting closer and closer to becoming an NHL-ready defenseman with his 6'3" stature. He was drafted in the 2nd round in the 2019 draft and has played his entire career with the Hartford Wolfpack of the American Hockey League, having 0 NHL experience. However, he's done quite well in the AHL. He has 3 goals and 17 points in 43 games this year and has solid puck-moving ability and great physical presence. This should intrigue the Blackhawks for sure. He will get more experience potentially playing with guys like Connor Murphy or Seth Jones. So in the end, yes, with Vladimir Tarasenko joining the Rangers, it's a long shot for Kane to come to New York. But the Rangers could be a top 4 contender for the Cup if they get him. I mean, their chances can only increase from here, and there's no guarantee that they win the Cup, of course, but there's a very high guarantee that this trade could benefit them if they play their cards right. They must see through the course of February how Kane progresses in terms of his recovery. If injuries were the problem, they wouldn't have traded for Tarasenko. The best part is how Kane notched 92 points last year on a more talented Blackhawks team, but nowhere near playoff caliber. Tarasenko notched 82 points on a playoff Blues team, so maybe this works after all, and maybe it doesn't, but we should see what happens for both. Kane is obviously a rental, however, either him or Tarasenko are going to leave, as I find it very hard to imagine them both coming back. This trade can only make the Rangers' top 6 more lethal. I mean, you have Zibanejad, you have Kreider, Panarin, Tarasenko, and Trocheck all in your top 6. If Kane is in there, this is arguably the most experienced and talented top 6 in the NHL. And for Chicago, they continue to build their team in the right way. They get rid of Toews and Kane and build with younger guys. So let me know what you guys think about this potential trade in the comments. How do we see Kane with the Rangers, and how do we see Chicago's rebuild? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you guys for tuning in and have a wonderful day.